are you? Yeah, what to do? Sit comfortably. Why they changed this time, I don't know. I think it has something to do with war. So, that's really what it is. Some kind of war with wartime thing.
It's become a tradition.
Now it is a tradition, something that can be foregone. In fact, there is a petition. There is a petition.
Yes.
Of I think 60,000 people, and each one thinks it's for the other. The urban people think it's for the farmers, and the farmers were the ones who wrote this petition saying it's wreaking havoc on their lives.
I think the idea is it saves energy.
It's not. It's not saving. They thought it would, but in fact we use more light in the morning. That's what's the point. Get up 1 hour earlier.
And in the
Yeah,
south,
crazy.
they use more air conditioning.
Pardon me?
In the south, they use more air conditioning. during
Yeah.
the
The only thing it supposedly it deters is the robbers. Only the robbers don't rob because the daylight is long. It's not that they don't rob. When we spring forward, they fall back by 1 hour. They come 1 hour late. That's all. The burglars. That's all they do. Big deal. Anyhow, this is far more interesting than what we are talking about. At least to me. And I hope for you also. Okay. Yes, namaskar to everybody. Good morning and all that sort of things, yes. Yes, good evening, good morning, whichever time you're on. I'm happy to see all of you here. So nice. And I know as soon as the prayers are said, the other half of the class will turn up. That's how it happens. Pardon me?
The second half of the class then is
Yeah, they usually come a few minutes late, later. But as they say, better late than never. Correct? Yeah. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyamadevah Bhadram Pashye Makshadhiryajatra Sthirairangai Sushtabhagam Sastanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashrabaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarksho arishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's chant from the beginning. Well, there's something nice to do. Manohirvividham proktam Shuddham cha shuddhamev cha Ashuddham kama sankalpam Shuddham kama vivarchitam Manareva manushyanam Karanam bandha mokshayoh बन्धाय विषयासक्तं मुक्तं निर्विषयं स्मृतं निर्विषयस्यास्य मनसो मुक्तिरिष्यते अतो निर्विषयं नित्यं मनः कार्यं मुमुक्षुणा निरस्तविषयासङ्गं सन्निरुद्धं मनो हृदि यदा यात्यात्मनो भावं तदा तत्परमं पदम् तावदेव निरोद्धव्यं यावद् हृदि गतं क्षयम् एतद्ध्यानं च ध्यानं च शेषो न्यायश्च विस्तरः नैव चिन्त्यं न चाचिन्त्यं न चिन्त्यं चिन्त्यमेव च पक्षपातविनिर्मुक्तं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा स्वरेण सन्धयेद्योगम् अस्वरेण भावयेत् परम् अस्वरेणानुभावेन भावो न भावयिष्यते तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरञ्जनम् Yeah, there is a little typo there. Tad brahmahamiti jnatva. Add a ha there. Tad brahmahamiti jnatva. Repeat. Tad brahmahamiti jnatva. Brahma sampadhyate dhruvam. Na nirodho na chotpattihi. Oh, yeah. Nirvikalpamanantam cha. हेतु दृष्टान्तवर्जितम् अप्रमेयमनादिं च यज्ञात्वा मुच्यते बुधः न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न बद्धो न च साधकः न मुमुक्षुर्वै न मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता एक एव एक एवात्मा मन्तव्यः जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रय व्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते. Thank God for that mercy of no punarjanma. Yeah. So this is what we have been discussing. Jagrat swapna sushuptishu. You know, so what to talk of punarjanma? Even in this janma, Atma is neither the waker, nor the sleeper, nor the dreamer. What to talk of next janma? Like I say, this Upanishad appears to be heavily influenced by the Mandukya. Some verses are taken, completely lifted, or maybe, we can even say, since this is the Shruti, primary Shruti, we can say that Gaudapada took it from here, but actually I think the other way around is more appropriate, because this one looks like it is a kind of a culling of many verses encountered elsewhere. But it's not just a restatement, because it has some very unique ways of conveying the drishti, the vision of Vedanta, as it unfolds. We can see. I mean, right at the beginning we saw using the mind as a tool, either for what? Bondage or for liberation. The mind is both the lock and the key. Yeah. So you can lock yourself, or you can set yourself free. So from that standpoint, it's been moving very beautifully. And here, after talking about Brahman, last 2-3 verses were talking Brahma sampadhyate tada. Yada what? Yada when the person is understands the truth of oneself, that Atma is Brahman alone. Some 2 verses were there. Brahma sampadyate dhruvam and Brahma sampadyate tada. Tada means what? At that time. When is that time? That time when Brahman is available, it's always available. It's not available in time. So this yada tada has no meaning except as a condition. And what is the condition? When that pakshapata, when you are freed of pakshapata. What is pakshapata? A dessert, an exotic Indian dessert served on festivals.
Definitely not.
No? What is pakshapata? Huh? Oppositional viewpoints. Yeah, paksha, we remember like this. Paksha, the wing of the bird, wing as in bird. Pata, falling. So pakshapata, falling on either wing. Left wing, right wing, this wing, that wing. In other words, if you don't know Atma properly, you are winging it. That's the whole idea. So now you'll never forget pakshapata. Yes. So pakshapata is not payasam. It sounds similar, but pakshapata means, taking sides. Yeah, here there is no side taking, because how many sides does Brahman have? Only one. No, none. So you cannot take sides when the thing in question does not have any options to take sides. Correct? Yeah. Oh, so sad. Anyhow, so tada, when that mind, and it's giving us all the time the connection between the mind and Ishvara, Brahman here, because it's saying that when the mind is free of asakti, then it gets to, asakti means longing. When the mind is free of longing for Vishayas, then what happens? Then it gets prepared. And then another subtle level of preparation is to let go of the duality or oppositional consciousness, as we call it. Nothing to do with consciousness as Brahman, but oppositional ways of being and ways of thinking, because it's always, the mind is always either or. So that was one of the conditions, and Brahman, the word Brahman was introduced, and then there was one more thing, Brahma sampadyate dhruvam. Dhruvam means what? Certainly, definitely. And when was that? What was the condition for that? I am having trouble with these pages. In fact, I think we need to, because I feel like I'm in the Arabic countries, because I'm not able to open this at all. So I'm going to take this out, and I request that it be put this side, okay? So let's do that. I thought it was only one day, but it is happening every day. Just not used to this. Not used to left wing. Anyway, so so now we can much better. Okay. Now then it will have to be put properly also. Yeah, it will have to be put properly. All right, let's forget this. I look at the book. Yeah. I look at the book. What verse is it now?
8, verse 8.
Thank you so much. All right. So then Brahma sampadyate dhruvam, when tad Brahma ahamiti jnatva. That Brahman, which the one that was described as nirvishayam, etc., that Brahma ahamiti jnatva, knowing that it is I alone. Not some abstraction, not some Bhagavan sitting somewhere and, putting flowers, dispensing grace in the form of a few scraps of punya, but that Brahman, I alone am. Iti jnatva, what happens? Dhruvam Brahma sampadyate. Dhruvam means certainly you will get Brahman because you are Brahman. Or Dhruvam Brahma sampadyate. So what kind of Brahman you will get? That which doesn't move. Dhruvam. Double meaning. Very beautiful. So we have seen that, and then Just so that, because the human mind is very categorical, and this Upanishad, more than any other Upanishad, understands the working of this mad mind. So that same Brahman is now presented in the form of Atma. Eka eva, so that one doesn't think that there are many Atmas but one Brahman. So therefore, Eka eva, Ekaha eva Atma, Mantavyaha. Mantavyaha doesn't mean please think. No. Mantavyaha means it is to be understood. It's worthy of understanding. How many Atmas are there? One. How many Brahmans are there? One. So 1 plus 1? 1. That is Vedic mathematics. No, Vedic mathematics is something else. But this is Vedantic mathematics. Yeah, Vedic mathematics is another big, field. So, 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. 1 plus 100, 1. 1 minus 1, 1. A 1 that cannot be minused or plussed. This is what it is. And if that leaves you non-plussed, that's a good sign. And so, this is the thing. So, Ekaha eva Atma Mantavyaha. So, please know that there is just one thing we are talking about, that Atma, which is Brahman. And then and again it is bringing it back to oneself. And Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu. This again influenced by the Mandukya. And we see this in the Mandukya a lot. A very involved discussion of Jagrat Avastha. What is the waking state? I don't know, because even in the waking state I am nodding off. So I don't know what the waking state is. So when in between the nodding off, what is there? That is the waking state for this person. Correct? So waking state here, we have to understand a few things. One is you are a karta only in the waking state. Therefore, it's very safe to kick somebody in the dream because you will not go to prison. No assault charges, no battery charges, no misdemeanor, no felony, nothing. You can do whatever you want in the dream. Why? Because there is only bhoktritvam, no kartritvam. So what matters is not that you kicked somebody, but the enjoyment that you got out of that kicking in the dream. That's what matters. In the waking state alone you are the karta and bhokta both. And in the waking state alone you are the pramata. Correct? You are the knower. In the waking state alone, can the knower be displaced? Knower is displaced when? Not in the sleeping state. No, but all the classes I have attended, that's why knower is not displaced. Okay? Knower is displaced in the waking state. Knower is active in the waking state. Ignorance is felt when? In the waking state. Ignorance is removed when? In the waking state. Provided one is awake. Correct? So along with Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, we have to also add one more preparation or one more clause for getting the knowledge. Jagrad Avastha. Waking state. So, and then because one is karta in the waking state alone, the punya sampadanam, the earning of punya is also when? In the waking state. You can't earn punya in the dream. Even if you give all your dream money away in dream charity, in the dream state, what punya are you going to get? 0. Because it was not, you did not expend any calories or any resources. Correct? In sleep also you are experiencing the punya earned previously when, ironically, in the waking state. The punya earned in the waking state translates into good sleep. This is prarabdha, very good prarabdha if you have good sleep. Very nice. And so like this, the waking state is singled out because this Purushartha Sampatti and means all the pursuits, the dharma, artha, kama, moksha are all in the waking state. Security is pursued in the waking state. Why? Because insecurity is felt deeply in the waking state. In other states, not so much. In the dream, maybe one is, having a nightmare, but that's different. Here, insecurity is experienced. In the dream, maybe the insecurity is remembered. That's a different thing. But here, it's primarily experienced. And so, the waking state, it becomes a very shreshtha, a very exalted place of all operations, because here is where the self-awareness is felt, here is where the insecurity and the self-loath and the self-non-acceptance are felt, here is where something is done about their removal, here is where the ahankara complains in the inner amphitheater we saw yesterday. Correct? This is the prime, waking state is equal to prime time on television, where the viewership soars and where everybody is glued to the TVs. I think it's about 2 hours or something like that in the night, something like that, where everybody, it's not certainly during the daytime. Prime time means during where all the people are bringing their dinners in front of the television and watching. Sometimes we also watch you like that. Yeah, that's that's one of the drawbacks of virtual Vedanta. So this is the thing, and this is the waking state is is given a special place, and because this is where the knowledge is gained, this is where punya is gained. But what is the connection between punya and knowledge? If you are interested in the knowledge, you better not forego opportunities for punya. That is very important, because there are subtle things that take one away. Previous karma that takes one away from the knowledge. Today I don't feel well. Tomorrow I just don't feel like coming to class. Day after tomorrow something small happens, so I drop out. And so these things happen. Mind is not okay, body is not okay, emotions are not okay, ability to concentrate is not there. So like this. So better one have punya. So the waking state is given a very special place. And of course, like Vedanta, everything is as though paradoxical. And what is the paradox here? The paradox here is very interesting. The waking state is prioritized. At the same time, I take it to be the most real because of this special place that it has. I'm unable to displace myself as the waker. I think waker is me, therefore I am also waker. And here, therefore, it says there is one Atma like a string that is threading through 3 beads. Why 3 beads? 3 avasthas. So it's a 3-bead mala, and the string is you. So Atma is just stringing you along in the waking state, and the waking state is just 1 bead to count off, like an abacus, you count it off, and then the sleep state, you count that, and usually we miss the string, like in the Panchadashi, we miss the lamp that lights up all the delights. Inside and out. And then here we miss the string, Sutratma. That is why one of the names of Ishvara is Sutratma. And in the Bhagavad Gita this is described. It is the one that strings everything together. This Ishvara, Atma, Ishvara means the one, the Atma from the standpoint of the one that decides on the laws, that is manifest as the laws, that control sleeping, dreaming, waking, all the avasthas. So these laws pervade, and these laws are the manifestation of Ishvara in the form of the string. Sutre Maniganaha Iva, 7th chapter. So like this, the whole the experiences of sleep, dream, waking are all strung together. And of course, when we concentrate on the necklace, Who is looking at the string? And in fact, you can't look at the string because we cannot objectify the Atma. You are the Atma, but without the string, there is no necklace. And so, nobody is looking at the nature of the string. Is it made of gold? Is it a small little twine? Is it made of elastic? What is the material of the string? Nobody knows. Because one is fawning over the beads. Correct? Oh, how nice. This bead is so different. That one is so different. How nice. Oh, I'm stuck with this bead. I'm not able to move the hand to the next one. Like this. So, in a mala, the string is forgotten. That's why here the string is highlighted. You know, string is highlighted here. Eka eva atma, eka evaha, ekaha eva atma. This one atma is strung through, the beads of the sleeping, waking and dream states. This has to be understood. And then what does it say? Then sthanatraya vyatitaha, and where is the string? Is the string stuck to one bead or the middle bead or the last bead? No. The string is freely moving, as it were, through the beads, or are the beads freely moving on the string? Now this is very Zen-like, huh? Is the string stringing the beads together, or are the beads moving freely on this string? Think about it. Yeah, very nice. It's just like, the next one which is we are going to have some wonderful metaphors. Is the pot in space, or is the space inside the pot? So like this, you can't say that, it's not wrong to say that the string is moving through the beads. But really speaking, the beads are moving. The string is, stationary. The beads are moving and colliding with one another and fighting with one another and, And so, therefore, ekaha eva atma mantavyah jagrat swapna sushuptishu. And the string, the string thought came because it is sushuptishu, in and through these states. So like the beads, and yesterday I gave the metaphor of the timeshare. So like that, that one conscious entity is in all the states, and in fact the in is not a good expression at all. Now that we have understood the in, it is time to take the in and throw it out. So the in has to be thrown out. Why? Because there is no in and out. Atma doesn't go in or out. So therefore in has to be converted to as. So eka eva atma mantavyah, the same atma has to be understood as manifest as the sleeper, manifest as the waker, manifest as the dreamer. As though the dreamer, as though the waker, as though the sleeper. Filling each role perfectly. So now what happened to the string? It has become the bead. How? How is that possible? Indian magic. Has it really become the bead? No. It's just as though. This is a new take on the string theory. Okay? A Vedantic take on a very complex, physics called string theory. Yeah, this is just to, keep us entertained. So now, there is no string, so to speak. Why? Because the string is manifest as the bead. But just like quantum physics, when you look at the string and say, did you become the bead? The string says, no, I am not the bead. What is the bead? Is the bead not separate from you? No, the bead is not separate from me. Are you separate from the bead? Yes. I am myself. Bead is me, string is me. I am myself. And so like this, very beautiful. So through these states, in and through these states, nay, as the manifest version of these states, the Atma is there, it is one, and then what? For the one that is free of the states, what in one life, what to talk of next life? Because this is said because people keep planning for the next life all the time. All the religions, are glossy travel brochures for the afterlife. You find all these one beach and a few plants and hotel room. Of course, no one is there in the window. No people are there. The idea is, where have all the people gone? This is a very, Bahamas means very famous tourist location. Where are the people? The idea is that the place is waiting just for you. Yeah. You have to come and grace this place and occupy the place. Then only it will come alive. And that is the whole idea. So too the heaven is a clean place waiting for you to come there. This is what all the travel brochures in the form of various religion, follow my path, follow my way. Why? Because in heaven you will have respite. But the problem is now. The problem of ignorance, insecurity, inner amphitheater, which is all amplified, is when? Now. It's not that there is a problem in afterlife. Yeah, that's what we are saying. Afterlife is free of problem. This life, somehow you fight and, fight your way and then just come with me. Afterlife will be fine. Don't spoil your afterlife. If the point of life is afterlife, why am I here? Why this life? It's not some kind of a detour. This life cannot be a detour. There is something to be achieved here and now. The Hindu tradition is the only one that says that what needs to be accomplished is not accomplished in some afterlife. Even though we say Punarjanma, even though we believe in Swarga, Narka, everything, and then afterlife is there, Punarjanma is there, everything is there, but that's not the focus. The focus is Jivan Mukti. Here and now, one learns of one's freedom. How? By understanding the purport of this mantra. And what does this mantra say? For the one that is free of the states in this very life, what to talk of next life? For the one who knows this, there is no next life. No next life, nothing, एक एव हि भूतात्मा भूते भूते व्यवस्थितः एकधा बहुधा चैव दृश्यते जलचन्द्रवत्. Yeah, so the three states, we keep on, talking about the three states, and then people keep on talking about this, what is that? Rebirth as well. But what is this rebirth? Who is born? Let's see this, because this is the Sangati, the connection for the next verse. Who is born? Is Atma born? No, of course not. Atma is free of the three states. What to talk of birth? Atma is not born. Is Brahman born? No, because they are the same thing. If Atma is not born, Brahman cannot be definitely born. Then who is born? Jiva. And who is this Jiva? You can say it's a bundle of ignorance. A small bundle at first and then grows. Grows up. So, is ignorance born? No, because ignorance is anadi. Ignorance is not born. Oh, if it's anadi, it is ananta too. It doesn't come to an end. No, thankfully, it is not ananta. It is unborn. It was always there, but it goes away. Okay, so you said jiva. Jiva is equal to ignorance, correct? Because who else is jiva? Atma plus ignorance is equal to jiva. We have already seen this equation earlier. Ishvara plus, Brahman plus ignorance, Brahman plus knowledge is equal to Ishvara, Brahman plus ignorance, you have Jiva. So Brahman, cross, not born, correct? Ignorance is also not born, but then who is born? Huh? Who is that? Ignorance is not born.
No, the one who has desire due to ignorance.
The one who has desire is born. Okay, let us say that. The one who has desire, ignorance is not born. Perhaps we can say what is born, or is the person who is left the entity that owns up the longings and makes itself into a limited, locked up entity. This one perhaps is born. But really speaking, even that is as though born. Correct? So in other words, this is kind of a frightening thought. What is born is the sum total of your desires. Your desires take birth again and again, and the desires can't dance on their own, so they need bodies. So they beg. This is in the Tibetan Book of Dead and Dying, this is illustrated very nicely. That all the jivas dying to be reincarnated. Literally, and they are disembodied, they are waiting to be reincarnated, and they love marriage processions. They join the marriage procession and jostle each other. No, I'm going to be their first child. You can be their second one, I don't care, but I'm going to be the first child because I have all these desires, and the sooner I have a body with which I can kick and scream and do this, I can get this longing met. But of course the veil of Maya makes you forget that longing because of which one took birth. So that asakti has a lot of shakti. Yeah. So that asakti makes the asakti, the longing driven subtle body, looks to be incarnated again and again. Of course, it is associated with ignorance. Ignorance is not born, but the offshoot of ignorance, which is desire, etc., is keeping on taking incarnations. So this bundle of desires, useless desires most of the time, keeps getting reincarnated. What a frightening thought. But for the one who says, the one who knows, I am this one, that is the desire. The ultimate desire is for oneness. The ultimate desire is to be Ishvara, to have Aishwarya. Aishwarya means overlordship. To say that I am non-separate from the whole, that is Aishwarya. And that is what one is waiting for. And that comes only through this knowledge. And so therefore, Punarjanma na vidyate. But then what are these bodies? That is explained in this verse. The next 3 verses are very poetic and have beautiful metaphors. This one being the first one. And what does it say here? Eka eva hi bhutatma. There is only one Atma associated with the bhutas. Bhutatma, Pratyagatma. So, one Atma alone, that is as though associated with all the elements and the elementals, including this gross body, subtle body, causal body, etc. And then what? Bhute vyavasthitaha. Vyavasthitaha means it has been arranged for that same Atma to manifest in various bodies in take on different forms, but really speaking it is the same. Like even what, and this is a delightful example. Usually we have the sun, here it is the moon. In the Manisha Panchakam, what did we see? The sun reflected in what kind of water? Pot, no, not gutter water, later on, pots of water. Yeah, mud pot, clay, brass pot, gold pot. Is the reflection different in a gold pot as opposed to a mud pot, earthen pot? No, the reflection is the same, correct? And so here, instead of the sun, we have a delightful moon example, cooling, nice. Jana Chandravat, like even the reflected moonlight in various pots of water. In fact, the night is good because here you don't focus on the pots, you can't see the pots. What do you see? Only the moonlight in many, many orbs of water, so to see. You see the orb of the moon in the circular orbs of water. You don't concentrate on the pot. You see, the sun example is good, but there you concentrate on the pots. You say, oh, clay pot, oh, gold pot, oh, silver kalasha, must be a better reflection. So one is distracted by one's attraction to the various pots. And what are the pots? The upadhis. The various upadhis that this, useless jiva keeps taking life after life. Various upadhis. So in this nighttime example, one nice thing is that the harsh reality of the non-reality of the upadhis, which has been made into a reality, is softened because you are not seeing the pots because it's night. What are you seeing? Only the moon reflected in so many pots of water. And the moon, the reflecting surface here is the buddhi. Because I told you while studying the Manisha Panchakam that we have two ways of talking about this, how this so-called becoming many of this one. How does this Atma quote unquote become many? The answer is it doesn't become many. But how come one Atma, so many bodies? And we have two ways to explain this. One is through this theory of reflected consciousness, where we take the reflection of the sun, or in this case the moon, and then multiply the reflecting surfaces by 10 or 20. You have 20 pots of water. How many suns? One sun. And how many reflections? 20. So, and then you can carry this analogy further. In a turbid water, muddy water, the sun also looks muddy. So in an unprepared mind, the Atma shines like a habitual offender. And because no dharma is there, muddy, cloud and judgment. So like this. And in the clear water, Atma shines clearly, like that. So it talks. So you can stretch this analogy to say that the clear water is like the clear mind, the muddy water is like the clouded mind, and that same Atma is shining, everywhere. But then how come one person is behind the bar, correct? And the other person is also behind another bar, this time the drinking bar. And what is the difference? And what is the difference between the third person who is just, meditating and studying Vedanta? What is the difference? Why is the Atma manifest differently? It should be the same in every situation. It cannot be the same because the turbidity of the mind filled with asakti, raga, dvesha, etc. determines not the extent of the reflection, but the extent of the clarity of the reflection. So the unclear reflection is due to the problem in the reflecting surface. But like I also told you, that even though it sounds wonderful, the example is limited. Because what is the reality of the reflecting surface? Is it as real as the reflection? And if it is not, then why does it matter? So we just take it as a beautiful example. We are not looking at the turbidity, etc. here. We are just looking at many pots of water in the dark. We are not focusing on their upadhis, whether it's golden pot, silver pot, mud pot, brass pot, pot belly. We are not interested in that. What are we interested in? We are just interested in the one moon, in the cool single moon. We are not like Jupiter. If we were living on Jupiter, we couldn't do these examples because Jupiter has 2 moons. You cannot say Jala Chandravat. You cannot say that at all. Then you say which Chandra. And then one moon will be bigger and smaller, and they'll never learn because one moon will be Atma moon, another moon will be Brahman moon. It will be just a mess. Thank God that there's only one moon. We can at least use our example here. One sun, one moon, enough. So because this is one moon, you can say this one has as though become many without losing itself. So the moon, let us say the full moon is reflected in 15 pots of water. Why 15? Because the moon cycle, correct? So then, after giving itself away 15 times, does it start waning and become a new moon? No. It is still the full moon reflected fully in all and simultaneously in all the parts of water without undergoing any change whatsoever. Drishyate. Drishyate here means appears. Appears as though many. And this one becoming many, quote unquote, we have seen in many different contexts. The one doesn't become many. It's the as though-ness. It sustains everything without losing anything, in the process. Swarupa aparityagena rupantarapattihi. So without losing itself and without incurring any loss to itself, what does it do? It as though undergoes a change. Like even you undergoing a change, as though in the dream state where you are recalling everything, or your knowledge is manifest in a subtle way, and the combination of memory, desire and knowledge, what do? They bring forth a powerful image called the dream. But you don't lose weight because you dreamed of something very difficult. And if you have no dreams, you don't maintain your weight, because this is a different level of reality and a subtle change that takes place, because really there is no loss or gain in dream. And similarly, the Atma here projects everything. That consciousness, that sentient presence, which is the truth of I, projects everything. And that same I is there in all bodies. Bhute bhute vyavasthitah means this is the arrangement. And in arrangement of the infallible is equal to an infallible arrangement. So the infallible is being pointed out to. Vyavasthitah means perfectly done. No problem at all. It's not like Bhagavan, says, what is that? Oh, I just put this frog in the human body. Oh no, frog mind. This person cannot be taken out anywhere. Keeps wanting to catch insects with the tongue, even at important meetings. Why? Because frog sukshma buddhi in human body keeps on putting the tongue out. Never happens. Never happens. Even if there is somebody on earth right now thinking themselves to be a frog, it would be a psychological disorder that fits within the infallible order called psychology. This is the beauty of it. So bhute bhute vyavasthitah, this is arranged. It's an infallible arrangement which includes even someone's derangement. That derangement is part of the arrangement. Oh, that's actually so refreshing. Yes, that's the whole idea. My derangement is included, if there is one, is included in this arrangement. Any derangement is included in the arrangement, and the arrangement transcends, the duality of good and bad, right and wrong, and arrangement and derangement. Because those are all subjective categories that are relative. We are talking of the absolute, and that absolute, that I is in every being. That is what it expresses. It's an vyavasthitah. Vyavasthitihi means it is an infallible arrangement, which includes disorder, for which there is room, because the disorder or the derangement is part of another infallible order, and all the infallible orders work in tandem, like circles intersecting one another. It's very beautiful. And so, if I look at another person, what does it mean in one's everyday life? When I look at another person and say, how can you be Atma? Have you looked at yourself lately? Do you see what you are doing all day long? In fact, you can't even say all day long, because this fellow is a nocturnal being. Yeah. That's why I said, the time change just makes the robbers sleep for one more extra hour. We wake up early, but they go to sleep extra hour because they start their nefarious activities 1 hour later. So, and you look at such a person and say, what is wrong with, how can this be Atma, how can this be Brahman? How can this be a manifestation of Ishvara? This cannot be true. Namaha Naktancharebhyaha. This is the Rudram in the third Anuvaka, salutes the infallibility of all the nocturnal beings, starting with the beetle and moth and all the things that are active in the night. Mosquitoes, moths, beetles, and also bugging robbers. Yeah. All these fellows that creep around in the night, Namaha. Namaha doesn't mean I'm saluting them. I'm saluting the order that is there, because every robber here is here to steal away somebody's property, correct? And somebody's peace of mind. It's a potential. That the robber became a robber is not a potential. It's a Purushartha gone wrong. That was a potential, but it's a Purushartha gone wrong. Wrong Purushartha. But now that this person is unleashing their and abusing their free will, then a few victims are needed, correct? And those victims have some kind of a karmic resonance with these kinds of experiences, and somehow they are brought together. So it's not that if supposing somebody gets robbed, it's not their fault. It's not because it's their karma they got robbed. But then one has to ask the question, why that person and why not somebody else? Like when that 9/11 happened, so many people were supposed to be at that place. And now, so many years later, they are writing and saying that for some silly reason they did not go to work that day. They went to the dry cleaners instead, or they had a small cold and stayed at home. And then so much happened. So why those people and why not these people? There is some kind of a karmic resonance. That's the karmic order. And that, that the abuse of free will is possible. That is also part of the order. That I have the ability to go against dharma. Yes, I have to go against myself, go against Ishvara, but that possibility is there. It's included in this order. So the order transcends these little fellows, little thoughts about what is good and what is bad. Because those are highly subjective. And so, bhute bhute vyavasthitaha. In every being, it is the same I. And of course the question will come now. What? What is the question? Well, if it is the same I, then all our thoughts should be alike. My God, same I, not the same mind, okay? Yeah. Same I. I is not the mind. So thoughts need not be alike. No, if everything is Bhagavan, then my thoughts should also be like Bhagavan's thoughts. Bhagavan, thankfully, doesn't have thoughts because there is no head. Oh, Bhagavan has no thought life? No thought. But what does Bhagavan think about me? If you don't push me, okay? If you push me, I will say, Bhagavan is wondering why I made this fellow. Okay? Now, going on. That is Bhagavan's thought. Okay, now. So, then, what is that? Bhute, bhute, vyavasthitaha. This vyavasthiti is beautiful, very beautiful word. Vyavasthitaha means arranged. This is an infallible arranged. Ekadha, in one particular form. And then what? Bahudha, manifold ways. One-fold, manifold. Drishyate, is seen. Of course, nobody sees the Atma. Is understood. Is understood. And what is the Drishtanta here? Like the moon reflected in, in many, many parts of water, drops of water, pools of water, whatever it is there. Small and big bodies of water. Doesn't matter. So this truth of I is the same in all beings. The individuals look different. Yes, the jivas look different. They eat different things. Some are carnivorous. Some are, omnivorous. Some are herbivorous. Doesn't matter. It's all that same I. Sometimes a misguided I. Misguided is the mind here. As though, what is that? As though endowed with the upadhi called the mind. And here we can also bring in the second theory. The first theory is what? The first metaphor is that of the reflected consciousness. The second one is as though conditioned consciousness. So this consciousness here, Atma means Ishvara. That same Ishvara is in every body, every mind and every sense complex. And every body, sense complex, mind complex is not without the presence of Ishvara. Go back to the first verse of the Panchadashi, 10th chapter. Pravishat Jivarupatah Paramatma Advayananda Purnaha Purvam Swamayaya Swayameva Jagat Srishtva Pravishat Jivarupatah. So this Paramatma, having created quote unquote this whole universe, as though has entered this universe. How? In the form of this miserable jiva. Including this miserable jiva, the whole universe is populated by Ishvara, Ishvara, Ishvara alone. Many bodies, many minds, many senses, many complexes, and many fears, many tears, many forms of manifestation of those fears and tears. Some call it anxiety, some call it fear, some call it, a distraction, so many things. And it's all the same I. The I that is conditioned by many minds. Here, this is what is called the theory of as though conditioned consciousness or as though reflected consciousness. As though reflected consciousness we saw the sun in pots of water or bodies of water or the moon in this case. And the conditioned as though consciousness is that the mind becomes an upadhi for which consciousness. And if the mind is turbid, then it looks as though the consciousness is also turbid. In fact, we are proceeding in tandem with the afternoon class, Panchadashi. There also the same thing is discussed. Sakshini aropyate vritha. Buddhi dharma, body dharma, sharira dharma, buddhi dharma. The attributes of the body and the mind are falsely, accused. The Sakshi is falsely accused or falsely attributed to the Sakshi. Wrongly attributed to the Sakshi. Sakshi here is Ishvara, the witness of everything. And so this Ishvara in the heart of every person is expressing itself as I, Atma, 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 I am, completely. And that expression is likened to the reflection of the moon in many, many bodies of water. So even if it's the moon is in a small body of water, it doesn't become small. It's still reflected completely. That's the idea. Very beautiful metaphor. And we've seen this in detail in the Manisha Panchakam. Now, Ghatasamvritam Niyamane ghate yatha Ghato niyetanakashah Tatha jivo nabhopamah Ghatasamvritam Niyamane ghate yatha Ghato niyetanakashah Tatha jivo nabhopamah very beautiful example involving our favorite, prop, which is what? Pot, ghata. Ghata, pota, same thing. Yeah. Pot. Ghata samvritam. Samvritam means surrounded by. Surrounded by what? Ghata. Ghata samvritam, surrounded by pot. What? Akasham, the space. So here we have, what do we have? Aristopod. What is it, Aristopod? Blue-blooded, royal blue. But it's such a tiny fellow, heir apparent. Okay, yeah. Apparently, it is the heir apparent, full of hot air. That's all it is. So therefore tiny. Okay. So this is a blue-blooded aristopod. But if you really want to summarize this verse, even without translating it, if you just bypass all the translation, here is the translation. This is the blue-blooded aristopod, but is it aristospace? Now you have understood the whole verse. Is it aristospace? No, it is just space. Correct? And so here, now from the theory of that quote-unquote reflected consciousness, we are moving, because the Upanishad is very versatile. It just catches hold of the ignorance and just traps it in whichever way it can. And the theory of reflected consciousness works for some people, but not for others. For one, it doesn't work that much with me. It doesn't, it does the job, but it doesn't resonate that much because it has so many problems, because it makes, the reflection is totally dependent on the reflecting surface, which is very disconcerting, because if the reflection is Atma, then the reflecting surface doesn't have that much reality. So that is where my problem lies, with my discomfort lies with that particular presentation. And then so we have avachinna theory, avacchinnatvam, which is the second theory, which is the as though conditioned consciousness conditioned by a loda body and a never mind. And that is why the upadhi avachinna chaitanya, So the consciousness that is conditioned by this upadhi here is loosely translated as that, that container, as though container, which appears to contain the consciousness, ridiculous as it is. Both of these theories have problems. Like even this pot seems to be conditioning space. Correct? So, nothing can trap space, and neither can this body, trap consciousness. But there is a feeling of entrapment, because one is keeping on looking for the zipper of his body suit. What is that thing that the surfers wear? Wetsuit.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called. It should be called dry suit, because it keeps the person dry, but nonetheless the suit gets wet. So therefore wet suit. So this wet suit, it's just a clingy thing. It's almost like a second skin. And it's so tight, I don't know, I wonder how people get into it. Must have a lot of zippers. So then you zip it open, and then after you finish surfing, you come out and zip it open. Here, you are thrown in the water, all right, in the waters of samsara, in the turbid waters of samsara with some kind of a suit, but you can't come out at will, and neither can you unzip from this permanently wet suit. Correct? Yeah, wet jiva, sad, upset. So this is the as though theory, the theory of as though conditioned consciousness, because the body becomes as it were a conditioning for the consciousness. Don't say conditioner, because that invokes, shampooing, yeah. Conditioning, as though conditioning consciousness. Okay? Yeah. So this is, both the theories have their problems. Why? Because we are trying to explain the impossible. we are trying to explain how the one becomes many when the one is definitely not becoming many. And so you have to put a lot of apostrophes, you have to permanently hold your hand like this when you talk. And, and in between are the words, you just go like this. As though your head is a typewriter. And each time it comes here, ding, it should make a noise, ding, like this. So you are permanently in apostrophes, and your hand will atrophy like this after a few years of teaching. Everything is quote unquote, quote unquote, quote unquote, quote unquote. It's tiring, And if you don't say it once, even once, I find that, then there'll be a question online or in my inbox, Yeah, so is this what you were saying? And that's not at all what I was saying. And so, with much dismay I respond. But so therefore, so this is how I have to be. Because both those ways of conveying something is limited. Why? Because what it is trying to convey is not happening. The one is not becoming many. But then there are so many eyes. Forget it. Take a break. We'll come back and see this afterwards. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. And I will sit here and look at all your questions. So live stream is not working on her train. Okay.
Oh,
All
9
right.
people are on, so.
Huh?
9 people are
Okay.
on, so I think.
Yeah.
The train.
There are Italy's up there.
Does Bhagavan love, or does that necessitate a subject-object relationship? Love this question, first of all. Absolutely love your question. We cannot say Bhagavan loves as a verb. And in fact, love is not a verb. Love is your Swarupa. You cannot say, does Bhagavan love? A better rephrasing of this question is Bhagavan love? For that I will say, yes, definitely. So, Bhagavan is nothing but love. And you are that Bhagavan, correct? You cannot just have Bhagavan hanging like a guy in the sky, dispensing love, like that lotion dispenser. You can't do that. So Bhagavan is love, you are that Bhagavan, and when the Jiva behaves, in tandem with the laws of the universe, then one is Bhagavan-esque, just like Bhagavan. One is also all love. But that love is an inhibited expression of that Bhagavan, quote unquote, within you. And whereas for Bhagavan, there is no inhibition to express that. Okay? So that is what I would say. But if you say Bhagavan is, engages in acts of love towards the jivas, loves one and more than the other, etc., then you are refurbishing, reinscribing the subject-object relationship. Wonderful question. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Articulate. Is this like a sa or like a saha?
Nakasham, because it's akasha in the second case.
Well,
Ghato niyeta, the part is led, but not the space. So space here is an object, not the subject. So it's in second case, so akasham.
so when we say it, we say
Yeah.
kasaha.
Huh?
We say kasaha.
Akashaha, first case. Akashaha,
first
first
case.
case. Akasham, object. Akashaha, first case.
First case.
Nominative. Akasham,
Okay.
object.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, mind is not asleep. Mind is not asleep. Your mind is in a cause, retreats to a causal form. Yeah. Mind, thank you so much. Mind retreats to a very causal form. That's why it doesn't know it is asleep. It doesn't know everything is laya. It's a laya. Sleep means laya. It's not an action. It is the cessation of the waking state, where everything goes into a causal form. It's not. Sleep is not an action. It is a resolution.
Charlie did mention that they had in them or something that wasn't gluten-free apparently. Maybe that window.
Last night.
Yes. Idli?
Idlis? Yeah. That's
Would you
nice.
like some?
Not now. No, thank you. You have. Enjoy. Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm happy to see you eat. So enjoy the idli. I'm telling him, I don't see him eat, so enjoy the idli. Did you make this? Yes. Very nice, thank you. No, she made this something else, whatever this is. Some gluten-free square, correct?
Square. It has walnuts and figs
Ah,
and butter.
how nice, thank you. Oh, you are also eating idli? Good, very nice.
With the lemon?
Eat.
Poppy seed. Very good. Like it. How many is there?
Oh, for your excellent. You would have to tie it out and find something to hold it.
It was because it was early morning, they got idlis this morning.
That's wonderful. Oh, nice. Later. Yeah, later.
Should I put it in the fridge?
Put wherever it is, wherever it needs to
Okay.
go, not now.
And then the production, we're just shrines on our things. The little one that's over our little wall. And exactly, it wouldn't fit anything. And the vegetables, good friends said to me, got bought inside.
This is a very good Upanishad, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Vegetables in the body.
I found that
And depending on how we dress, you know.
because one verse goes along, kind of involves in the next one
Yes.
and the next
Very
one.
beautiful connection.
Yeah, Panchadashi, it doesn't go that way.
No.
Ah,
Yeah. This you can just keep on elongating
yes.
and connecting. Panchadashi is giving us, because we are only studying one chapter. If we study the whole thing, it would be the same thing. Like, yeah. But since we are studying one chapter, it is like that. It has a, it has a certain, you have to bring in a lot of connections from other chapters. So it doesn't seem that it is so seamless. Yeah, here it seems seamless because we are studying the whole thing. That is one of the reasons to study the whole. Yeah.
So you were saying disorders are within the order.
Absolutely.
But then how is that consoling? I mean,
It doesn't, it consoles. Yeah. Because then you say, okay, it is Ishvara. It's an expression of Ishvara. And if that disorder is affecting me, then two things have to happen. First of all, it's an expression of Ishvara, number one. Now, the disorder. And if that disorder is in my life, so to speak, then I have to adjust my vision. I have to undergo a vision adjustment to see it as part of the order and to allow it to just be. Like sometimes parents have this autistic child. It is within the order, very much. Very much within the order. I mean, the fact that the child won't look at other children, will not play with the adults, is just shut down, and sometimes it will play with a pet or it will paint or do some things like that. And slowly it has to be. But they are very intelligent.
but how does that make one happy even if you
It makes one.
allow it to
Let
be-
me finish. So this is only part A. I haven't gotten further. So part A is to accept that this is how it is. If that doesn't make you happy, at least it makes you in a place of acceptance rather than fighting against it all the time. Number one. Number two, with the help of the knowledge, you transcend this understanding that this has been given for, to trouble me. No. Because first I accept what has been given, then I accept my own karma that has given this. Because that is another order. Because you see, that disorder is part of my own karmic order, that's why it's in my life. So I come to peace with it. And with the help of the knowledge, I see it as a blessing, because what is it that I really want? I want only my self-growth. So all challenges are seen as a present for being in the present. Yeah, they are a gift. So if there is an irritant in one's life, that irritant is converted into a present. Yeah, that's what it is. And when you convert the irritant into a gift, the irritant no longer irritates. That means you have outgrown the irritant, correct? And in so doing, you have transformed the irritant into something that is, benign. And in the process, you have prevailed. So first one sees as someone that I have been singled out by karma for all bad luck, correct? But then the bad luck is transformed into good luck. How? By seeing this as an opportunity for my own growth. So when I see it as an opportunity for my own growth, all irritable things become presents. Yes, presents to bring me and keep me in the present. More opportunities to grow, more difficulty, more Ishvara in my life. Fantastic. Yeah. If difficulty is Ishvara, lot of difficulties means what? Lot of Ishvara. It's fantastic. So the focus has to now be on the self-growth. If one is attending Vedanta classes, the focus has to be on one's self-growth, not on, on how to get rid of, annoying things in my life. That is the focus of a non-Vedantin. This is how to transform transform oneself. You cannot transform another. You can only transform yourself. You have no control over the other. Every married person knows this. I have no control, over the spouse. Yeah. And sometimes people get married thinking that I will change. Not I will change, but I will change the other. And secretly the other also has the same wish. And 25 years later, none of them have changed each other. But the fact that they are still married and they have outgrown the need to change one another, that is self-growth. That's what it is. You let the other person be. Let them be. There is one song, let it be, let it be, let it be. Yeah. Let it be.
Beatles.
Beatles, yes. Beatles song, let it be.
In
Words
some,
of wisdom, yeah, that is the chorus. Words of wisdom, let it be. Ah. Speaking words of wisdom, yeah.
in some situations, Swamini, running away from something may achieve the same result, no?
Yeah, but then what do you run into afterwards? Ah. If it's part of the karmic profile, not so easy to run away. Ah.